Let's start with the fifth and count down to the first place, uncovering the last meals eaten by death row inmates. Number 5. Stephen Michael Woods. Stephen Michael Woods Jr. was executed for the murders of Ronald Whitehead, 21, and Betha Brosh, 19. These murders occurred on May 2, 2001 in the Colony, Texas. Woods and his co-defendant, Marcus Rhodes, were accused of the crime, but the physical evidence primarily pointed to Rhodes as the gunman. Under Texas law, Woods was still held responsible due to the law of parties, which states that a person can be criminally responsible for the actions of another in certain circumstances. Woods maintained his innocence, stating he was not directly involved in the killings. Woods was executed on September 13, 2011, at the age of 31 by lethal injection in Huntsville, Texas. His execution was surrounded by controversy, with Woods and his supporters claiming his innocence up until his execution. For his last meal, he had 2 pounds of bacon, 4 fried chicken breasts, 5 chicken fried steaks, 2 hamburgers with bacon and fries, 12 garlic breadsticks with marinara sauce, 1 large 4-meat pizza, 2 sweet teas, root beers, Mountain Dews, Pepsis, and 2 pints of ice cream. Number 4. Joseph Mitchell Parsons. Joseph Mitchell Parsons was executed for the murder of Richard Lynn Ernst, which occurred in August 1987. Parsons, who had hitchhiked a ride from Ernest in California, later stabbed him to death at a remote rest area in Utah. After the murder, Parsons assumed Ernest's identity but was eventually arrested and continued to claim he was Ernest. Parsons was sentenced to death on February 18, 1988, after pleading guilty to capital murder, motor vehicle theft, and aggravated robbery. During his trial, he claimed he killed Ernest in self-defense, alleging a homosexual advance, but he could not provide evidence to support his claim. The jury found him guilty and he was sentenced to death. His execution took place on October 15, 1999, at Utah State Prison in Draper, Utah, via lethal injection. He was 35 years old at the time of his execution. Parsons, known as the Rainbow Warrior, dropped his appeals in 1999, stating that he preferred execution over waiting on death row. His execution was notable as it was the first to be carried out in the new chamber in Utah State Prison designed for both lethal injections and firing squads. For his last meal, he had 3 Burger King Whoppers, 2 orders of French fries, chocolate chip ice cream, chocolate milkshake, a pack of grape Hubba Bubba gum. He also asked if he could share this meal with his brother and cousin, and his request was granted. Number 3. Peter J. Manel. Peter J. Manel was executed for the murder and robbery of 20-year-old Paul Manier. The crime occurred on May 9, 1986, when Manel, then 23, and his accomplice, James Russell, 21, were at Manier's apartment in the Houston area. Manel orchestrated the attack on Manier, striking him with a beer mug, stabbing him 39 times, and ultimately asphyxiating him by stuffing a blanket down his throat. The duo then stole Manier's wallet, which contained $20, and took his stereo equipment. Manel was executed on October 6, 2004 in Huntsville, Texas, by lethal injection. He was 42 years old at the time of his execution. For his last meal, Manel requested a large and varied feast, including 20 beef tacos, 20 beef enchiladas, 2 double cheeseburgers, a pizza with jalapenos, fried chicken, spaghetti with salt, half of a chocolate cake and half a vanilla cake, cookies and cream ice cream, caramel pecan fudge ice cream, a small fruit cake, 2 Coca-Colas, 2 Pepsi-Colas, 2 root beers, and 2 orange juices. Manel had initially pleaded not guilty at his trial in 1988, but later confessed to the crimes, stating that he was ready to face the consequences of his actions. His execution marked the 47th murder executed in the U.S. in 2004 and the 328th in Texas since 1976. Number 2. Alton Coleman. Alton Coleman was executed for a series of horrific crimes, including the murder of Marlene Walters in Norwood, Ohio, on July 13, 1984. Coleman, alongside his accomplice, Deborah Dennis Brown, embarked on a 6-state crime spree in 1984 that resulted in the deaths of 8 people, including 4 children. Coleman was notorious for his brutal acts that involved murder, rape, and kidnapping. Coleman was executed on April 26, 2002, at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility by lethal injection. He was 46 years old at the time of his execution. For his last meal, Coleman requested a well-done filet mignon smothered with mushrooms, fried chicken breast, a salad with French dressing, sweet potato pie topped with whipped cream, French fries, collard greens, onion greens, cornbread, broccoli with melted cheese, biscuits and gravy, and sherry coke. His crime and subsequent execution made him notably infamous, as he was the only person sentenced to die in 3 states, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana. His accomplice, Deborah Dennis Brown, was found guilty as well and is serving a life sentence. Number 1. Lawrence Russell Brewer. Lawrence Russell Brewer was executed on September 21, 2011 in Huntsville, Texas for the abduction and racially motivated murder of James Byrd Jr., a 49-year-old African-American man. This heinous crime occurred in the early hours of June 7, 1998 in Jasper, Texas. Brewer, along with 2 accomplices, offered Byrd a ride, then attacked him, tied his feet with a chain, and dragged him behind their truck until he was dead. The brutality of this act stunned the nation and brought attention to racial hate crimes. Brewer was 44 years old at the time of his execution. Before his execution, Brewer ordered a large last meal which included 2 chicken fried steaks with gravy and sliced onions, a triple patty bacon cheeseburger, a cheese omelette with ground beef, tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, and jalapenos, fried okra with ketchup, barbecued meat with white bread, fajitas, a meat lover's pizza, ice cream, peanut butter fudge with peanuts, and root beers. Brewer did not consume any of his meal as he stated that he was not hungry. This led to the end of last meal requests in Texas.